was pleased with a number of things Saturday with our team. Always things that we can continue to improve on. I'll probably touch base on those here briefly, but some of the positives just coming off the main game was 9 different skill players catching footballs. I think again that's 2 weeks in a row that we've almost hit that double-digit number. I think it was Eastern Washington might have been 7 or 8. Again, spreading the ball around, 5.6 yards a carry, 35 minutes time of possession, 7 of 8 scores in the red zone, +4 turnover margin. A couple of those turned into scores. I think we scored 13 points off turnovers during the day. We gave up no sacks. Again, another good day by our offensive line. And then we had 10 explosive plays, and we gave up 4. And I think the 4 I think 2 of them were late in the game, probably in that last drive that our defense was out there. And then I think the big one was the middle 8, the last 4 minutes of the second quarter and the first 4 minutes of the third quarter for us to kind of go into 2-minute mode, go down and score right before half, and then we knew we were going to get the ball back, and then have a really nice drive to start the second half and go down and score again was positive to see. Like I said before, there's things we got to work on. Red zone, I'd like to score more touchdowns in the red zone, and we can't self-induce some problems. We had 4 penalties in the red zone. We had a penalty on 3rd and 1, all that impacted not necessarily the outcome of the score, but what the score could have been. Could have had a lot more momentum early in the game. We started fast as a football team. We had a great turnover by our defense early, down in the red zone already, and to walk away with 3 points was positive, but also frustrating at the same time. You guys have heard me say before, field goals don't get you beat. So we need to be the opposite of that. We need to score touchdowns whenever we get an opportunity down that deep in the red zone. But plenty to work on. Just penalties in general. Having 9, way too many. We're a better football team than that. We can sit here and argue if they were a penalty or not. That they must have been on Saturday, so we need to address them. But the ones that are self-induced, the 2 false starts, were critical ones, especially with them stemming their front a little bit. That's something that our defense has done all fall camp, and then the snap on the ground, just miscommunication with Westy and our quarterback at that time. Just things we're going to shore up, and that's why we're excited to get back to practice. What do you guys have for questions today?
Red zone offense, that obviously wasn't something you had an issue with last season, but then, just kind of going into addressing it after the main game, kind of how do you plan on addressing the red zone issues on offense going into this week?
Well, the communication piece, that's just something that we need to – we're going to do some red zone stuff this week where there's going to be a little bit more – have to be some forceful communication versus just assumed communication out there. And that's things that we can address just on how we practice. And then we will work a little extra red zone on Tuesday. Today's only a spiders practice, but once we get full pads on tomorrow, we'll have another red zone period just to emphasize the things that we didn't feel like we were good enough at. Solid. I mean, when you score 7 of 8 times down there, that's good. But and I'd love to add a couple more touchdowns to that mix.
Under a microscope going into the year, but how impressive you've been with the back half of your defensive unit, the linebackers and DBs 2 weeks into the season right now?
They've done a nice job. But as we all know, I think the competitive balance, people are getting better, just like hopefully we continue to get better as the season prolongs, and we need to improve still. Probably some plays out there that we left, a couple missed tackles at different times. Would love to shore up and create more depth. We need to be able to play more people. Darius Givens is getting closer and closer. Hopefully Keith Alexander is back running full speed this week. We might be able to incorporate him into some things. And so those are all positives. But by being able to play a number of people in that second half, I mean, it still is great evaluation for our staff to see who are the next guys out there who can help provide depth too.
Seen McElvain twice. How much does that help for what's to come Saturday?
Well, he's a really good football player. He's continued to improve. You just watched their game against Oklahoma State. I mean, they were in a slugfest there. I mean, 13-7, late in the third quarter, went right down the field in the first drive and had a couple penalties that took a touchdown off the board, or otherwise they would have been up 7-0 right off the bat. Gets the ball out of his hands quick, can extend plays because he's shifty with his feet. He's elusive. When he was in the league, he caused problems for us then, and I'm sure he'll continue to cause problems. We have to play really well. They are a very good football team. Scary. to me. Just with I think they have three running backs that are outstanding. They have a number of wide receivers that are veterans, have been there in that system for a number of years. And then he has he's been in an offense very similar to this his entire career. Man, he will throw it from any arm angle out there. He's got a little bit of moxie to him, and that's what I am very impressed with. Is he does not get rattled.
Must have athleticism to play with an SEC team for a while like that. The athleticism factor of Central Arkansas.
Yeah, I do. I think they have really good receivers and excellent. What they do what they do really well. Their running backs. I probably should just Darius Hall. Is it Shunderick Powell and then Kylan James? All three of those guys. They run very hard. They use those guys in the pass game as well. Ball gets out quick. Oklahoma State was able to get a little bit of pressure on them, but they have some deep threats. The RPO, they're going to be hitches, glances, out seams. They're going to take advantage. If you look like something, if they have numbers, they're going to throw it. If they feel like they have leverage, they're going to throw it. And those have potentials to be some big plays.
+5 in turnover margin. You have a comment on the importance of that, and did you see that in your team coming into this season?
Well, it's something ever since I've been here, something that we've continued to emphasize is finding ways to get takeaways, finding ways to change possession, either through on downs, punts, or traditional takeaways. And so teams I think they've been playing hard. Feels like they've been playing really fast and with great clarity, so I think that allows them to be around the football. Julian's play last week was a great tackle, punched that football loose, and for Shep to get it picked up and scoop, almost score with it was big time. And we just need the more hats we can get to the ball, the better chance we have to create some takeaways. And if we can continue to get pressure with our front four, hopefully we can make some quarterbacks put some air on the ball and get some tips and overthrows at times.
That's on the flip side. You got veteran guys at quarterback.
Yep.
Got to make. How much of a difference does that make?
Well, just decision making is critical. You have two guys playing quarterback right now who both have a lot of practice reps, some game reps under their belt. Cam has about 26, 27 starts, and I think just being efficient with the football, knowing that we don't have to make unbelievably accurate throws. We don't have to try to thread the needle. We can take access. We can allow guys like Zach and Raj to make people miss in the open field and turn maybe a 5-yard throw into a 10 or 12-yard gain. And so we're taking what defenses are giving us right now. And I think we'll continue to do that. Hopefully that spreads everyone out and forces teams to have to defend all 53 1/3 yards across the field.
Central Arkansas was here. It was right in the middle of COVID. And obviously,
Sure.
What stands out for you that week, that game?
Just there's a million things that stand out that week, but just how about we just chalk it up to how unusual everything was at that time. Yeah, I don't know if we knew we were going to play it until that day, and probably up until kickoff didn't even know if we'd even pull this thing off.
Offensive line play, some veterans, but in some new spots. Overall, what do you think? How do you think your offensive line has played over these first couple of games?
Solid. I think there's definitely room for improvement. Again, we had a bad snap this last week, gave up a sack the first week, but I think it's a good start to the season right now. And Jalen seems to be gelling out at left tackle. It's great having Mason back right now at that right tackle position, and Gray and Kubas have both started a number of games at the guard spot. And Westy does a really good job. He's a great communicator. Our quarterbacks have played with him enough that they're familiar with him. Not as if he just came in and was a first-time starter this year. But I'm excited. And then I think this week what was exciting is we got Hunter Pontius, Jake Rock, a number of snaps too. We got to continue to develop those guys and give them opportunities to improve.
As far as the quarterbacks, I know both weeks we've seen a couple times where both of them are in at the same time.
Yep.
What have you liked from that look so far?
Oh, I think we just try to maybe if we can find ways to water down maybe the calls that opponents have. I know just from my experience, there's been a few games that we've played where when I was more on the defensive side, two quarterbacks, all of a sudden, do you want to play zone? What are you trying to do? It's not necessarily wildcat. how do you want to treat two quarterbacks out there? Because now there's multiple threats to run and throw. So it becomes just, I think that's kind of the philosophy with it.
So it looks like this might be the beefiest front you've had to face on either side. How important is it to kind of go up against the line that's before you start, on offense and defense before you start valley play?
Oh, this is going to be a huge challenge for us. You add their tempo, their look stuff offensively. Like you said, well-coached football program. Play hard on both sides of the football. Defensively, they might have the best defensive lineman on the field is going to be in white. They have a defensive end, David Walker, who was a tremendous football player, had 13 sacks last year. Their other defensive end, I think, had 8. I mean, they had over 20 combined. And so we're going to have a great week of practice. We can't have mental errors. We can't have silly penalties if we want to have success against this football team this week.
Start better with his brother back for whatever reason, because that's all he's known.
Well, how do I answer this politically correct? I'm sure he probably is. The competitive side of both of them is great, but generally they're at each other's throat at the same time. And so, I guess brotherly love is pretty strong, but those two push one another. They're at each other. I have a ton of respect for their parents. They're great guys, but you tell they're twins, and I'm sure the competitive juices started long time ago.
What have you seen from the defense for the first 2 weeks?
Consistency is probably, and I don't know if that's really an improvement, but it's something that I'm excited about. I don't see exaggerated missed tackles. If we miss one, it's in a close quarters and someone else is right there. I see a lot of effort and energy. I know Saturday we probably played 11 to 12 defensive linemen. I think once we probably get into the league, we'll play 8 to 10. We feel like we have some really good depth there. We may not have the marquee defensive end, but I think we can generate some pass rush. I think we've seen that the last couple weeks. Our safeties are savvy football players. My biggest concern, 2 weeks ago was that they both thought they needed to be around the line of scrimmage on play action and or RPO stuff, and they've done a good job of layering out what we're doing defensively. This week will be another challenge for them, just to make sure that they let the guys up front play. We need to protect and not give up explosive plays and keep the ball in front of us. But the maturity, but also just the energy that they play with. It's a close-knit group. It's fun to be around. Coach Petrino and the defensive staff have done a tremendous job of getting this group to believe in themselves and to have some fun playing football.
Griffin evolved from this time last year where kicker was, I think, a question mark to where you're at. He's your place kicker. Where have you seen the biggest change there?
Well, it's hard to believe, but he's put 25 pounds on since he's been here. So he's definitely improved his leg strength, his consistency. He's a backup for us kind of on kickoff and punt. But his specialty is place kicking. He's had an unbelievable career. You look back 2019, we had an injury after the first touchdown that we scored that year, and Griff was a true freshman, guy we knew about but didn't know about. How was he going to respond? And his first live collegiate kicks were in front of nearly 40,000 fans at Target Field and maybe even off an infield. I remember that first fall camp, we sent him over to the grass softball diamond over on the north side of campus to kick off the dirt, and he looked at me like, what? He's an awesome guy. Griff and his entire family are Bison through and through. Dad's here every week. Griff, we've had some moments, Griff and I, but, I think that's what's made our relationship even stronger to this date. Awesome. Thanks, guys. We'll see you Saturday.